stop calling it Joker 2, okay? Stop being a lazy linguist and call it by its actual name. Joker Folie, Deux, okay? That's how you pronounce it. You're welcome. Not that I'm a good linguist at all, I'm just saying. So Joker Folie, Deux. I just saw the movie 2 days ago at an early screening in an AMC theater. I saw it with my buddies. And let's just say, yeah, this movie has been getting some really mixed reviews as of now. Not that many people have seen it right now. Like I said, I only saw an early screening of it, so there aren't that many thoughts of it just yet. But from what I've heard so far, a lot of critics are not really liking this movie. Heck, even my own friends didn't think it was that good. Pretty much all of them, like actually all of them, they were like, Jack, Pedro, Lucas, Eddie, and Evan. 5 of them, yes. 5 of my friends, all of them did not think it was that good. Pretty much all of them has said that the film was boring at one point, that it got boring at one point. Some said it was a good, well-made film, but still thought it was boring. And heck, some of them straight up said it was just bad. All of them thought it wasn't that good. And same thing goes for all the critics around. What are my thoughts though? What did I think of the film? Are they right? Are the critics right? Or is it actually not as bad as they're saying? Well, let's find out. Let's first talk about the really obvious parts. First of all, the filmmaking. This is a really well shot movie. It is beautifully made, okay? The lighting, the cinematography, the camera work, it is all amazing, okay? There were several shots where I've been seeing at the screen at the theater and I was like, dang, that's a good shot. Yeah, in general, it is a beautiful film, not just with the cinematography, but also with the sets. The production design looks great. It really does look like, I forgot the time period the movie is supposed to take place at, but like at that early past, at that time period, it looks really good. It looks very accurate to that time period. It was an all-around great looking film. Joaquin Phoenix, amazing as always. Honestly, pretty much just as good as in the first movie, which he won an Oscar for. Here he is still amazing, okay? Like, regardless of what you can say about the rest of the film, I'm pretty sure everybody can agree that Phoenix in this movie is spectacular. Honestly, if he doesn't get nominated for an Oscar in this movie again, it's probably just because of the Academy's bias over sequels, I guess. But yeah, man, his performance was amazing here. However, Lady Gaga here was also really good. Okay, her performance of, yeah, her name is not really Harley Quinn. I know that's the character she's portraying, but it's not really that. We'll get into that in a bit, but the character she's playing, she also knocks it out of the park there. She's a great actress in this movie. But yeah, in general, Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga together, they make a great duo, okay? Both of their performances are great. But now let's talk about the actual story now. The part where a lot of people are having mixed feelings on. What is the movie about, actually? So, after the events of the previous film and after Arthur Fleck's crimes, the Joker, he is now taken to Arkham Asylum. That's like about the first sections of the movie. And we basically see his life and the things that are going on with him in Arkham Asylum. But after that, the rest of the movie is all about people in court. Arthur's taken to court, and people all around are deciding what they're ultimately gonna do with him. Arthur has defenders, or Arthur has people who are opposed to him. And in general, they're gonna be deciding what they're gonna do with this clown criminal. And so basically, the whole movie is basically a court drama. I don't know if that's what a lot of people expected out of this movie. It's certainly what my friends did not expect of this movie, because that's kind of the part where they got bored of it. What did I think of the courtroom drama of the movie? Guys, honestly, those were the best moments in the movie. I'm serious, guys, because these courtroom scenes were the part of the movie that I've been enjoying the most, okay? Because overall, just seeing these conversations between a lot of these other people and seeing their perspectives on Arthur, their opinions on him, on like whether he's actually the Joker, just this maniacal maniac criminal, or just this broken person who is Arthur, and just overall seeing their opinions and perspectives on him as a person was really thought-provoking, and just I was really engaged with seeing all of these people discuss and try to come to a consensus, and one side trying to make a point win and the other side trying to make their point win. That was the most engaging part of the movie, in my opinion. However, what I especially loved about these moments was seeing Arthur, or in this case I'm going to call him the Joker, seeing the Joker have so many supporters on his side. Basically, to these people, they believe that since Arthur was such a broken person who has gone through a lot of crap, and him being the Joker is where he is allowed to be himself and do the things he loves, and just not let anybody tell him who he needs to be, just he's allowed to be who he wants. Seeing all of these people be in support of him and encouraging him to be that way was just super fascinating, man. And I found it really fascinating because, you know, we hear all around people saying, be who you are, follow your heart, all of that stuff. But in those moments, like, this movie brings up the scenario of like, but what if being who you are means being this clown criminal, you know? And it's in that moment where the film just kind of starts to just make you think, you know? Like, we have this side who says he needs to be who he is, he needs to express himself, but on the other side, but like expressing himself means being this criminal, and like it's like very thought-provoking, man. I would honestly say that this is some really important thematic depth that the movie is delving on. It has something to say, honestly, or at the very least, it's posing us questions for us to debate and stuff. I would even say it's even tackling stuff that I would honestly say is relevant, because like I said, so many times all around us, we hear again people encouraging others to do what they love and to be themselves and stuff, but we honestly have seen it gone to a negative extent, where we see people do things that they really should not be doing, and yet they themselves have supporters, and they do have defenders that say it's okay for him to do it or her to do it, because that's who he is, that's who she is. That stuff that is happening right now in real life. And I think that this movie, whether the director intended it or not, is tackling that, and it's bringing it to the table, and it's allowing us to delve into it and to talk about it, and to just overall tackling this issue, this thematic side of the movie. I really loved, okay? Like, it was thought-provoking. I thought that these moments, the movie really did have something to say. It gave us a thematic dilemma of, is this good, is this bad? I mean, I wouldn't say the movie is going that far of like not having an opinion on it itself. Like, and like most of us in the audience would say, no, I mean, obviously this is bad that Arthur is doing this stuff, and him being the Joker is bad. Obviously, like, yes, that is obvious. But again, the fact that there are people out there who are encouraging others to do wrong things just because it's who they are, And in other moments, I would even say your average person could even be into it for like more minor bad things, not to like this extent with the Joker, but like more minor things, they will still encourage it because it's who they are and stuff. Again, this whole idea, this whole thematic side to it, this movie is bringing it up, and I just think it just makes the movie very thought-provoking. Again, it has something to say, it makes you think, it tackles this idea, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it because it made me think. And to go further into that aspect, I want to really quickly talk about the ending, which I'm not gonna spoil, don't worry, I'm not gonna spoil what happens in the ending, but what I will say is that the ending, much like a lot of the film, a lot of people are gonna have mixed feelings on. I do not think a lot of people are gonna be very fond of this ending, but in my opinion, I loved the ending because, again, much like these courtroom scenes, it is an ending that made you think. Joker, or Arthur, makes a decision towards the end of the movie, not at the ending, but close to the ending. He makes a decision, and at the ending, let's just say he faces consequences for it, or one huge consequence for it. And again, that part of it, the fact that this happened to him, this consequence happened to him as a result of this decision he made earlier, again, it makes you think, okay? Because it makes you think, because it poses a scenario of like, was it worth it? You know? Was it worth it that he made this decision even when it led to this consequence? Was it worth him making this decision when this happened? Again, I love that aspect of it. It is an ending that I know a lot of people are not gonna like and are gonna feel frustrated on, but I really liked it because it made you think. I've already said that a ton of times, but yeah, that's really what I loved most about this movie, honestly. And it's a very ballsy ending, but again, I'm not gonna say it again, it was thought-provoking, man. And what I also like about that ending is the fact that, let's just say, again, how do I say this without spoiling? It is an ending that was so ballsy, I don't know how Warner Brothers could possibly make a second sequel. That's all I'll say. And I like that because, again, like, that's how ballsy the ending was, and it made the movie feel like this is just this story. Todd Phillips was just saying, this is just my story. I'm not gonna let Warner Brothers abuse of these movies to try to make a long franchise and stuff. No, it had an ending, and this ending basically said to Warner Brothers, no more. No more. And again, that's just another part that I really liked about it. I really respect that they went for this ending, but again, I know a lot of people are not gonna like it. However, now let's talk about what I think is the most divisive part of the movie. The biggest aspect of the movie that a lot of people are up in arms about, the songs. Because yes, everybody knows this by now, but yes, this movie is a musical, weirdly enough. That's the most divisive part about the movie, and so let's talk about my opinions on it. Regarding the musical scenes in this movie, I will admit they are kind of a mixed bag for me too. First of all, what do I think of the intention of these songs? Well, the choice, the reason why they're in the movie, I think is really cool. Basically, these musical numbers are kind of all in Arthur and, okay, let's just call Harley Quinn's real name here. It's Lee. Her name is Lee, not Harley. It's Lee. So the musical numbers are all in Arthur and Lee's head, and basically they're the only ones in the movie that sing. Nobody else sings, only them. And I find that really cool because it basically represents their own inner universe. They're both these two, I guess you could say, mentally ill people, who are just making this whole fantasy and stuff just with each other. And so having these songs in the movie honestly makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of brilliant because they're basically creating their own little fantasies with these songs, pretending that they're in this musical and stuff. And so it's honestly pretty cool and quite brilliant. And the songs themselves, they're not bad, but they're also not that great. They're very well made and well sung. I'm surprised that Joaquin Phoenix actually isn't a bad singer. I don't know if he ever sang before. The songs in general are good, they're just not really memorable. A lot of the times whenever I judge whether I thought this musical was really good is if I tell myself, will I remember these songs? And that's not really the case with this movie. I don't remember any of the songs. And I also judge them by simply saying, like, while watching the movie, did I enjoy the musical scenes? And yeah, like, again, like, they were fine. They were okay, all right? Like, they weren't that memorable. I didn't, like, dance. I feel like dancing when I saw, when I heard the songs. They were just fine for what they are. They were well made, well sung, but not much else. However, I will say, because these songs are not the most enjoyable in the world, maybe the film could have benefited if in general it just didn't have these songs, because for them being fine but not that great, you could say that they do kind of drag the film a bit and makes the film go on for much longer than it needs to. So yeah, and also in general, just the fact that this is a musical while the first one doesn't, it does kind of make it feel like, again, more like it's just not needed, you know? I mean, maybe if the first movie was a musical, it would make a lot more sense for this one to be it, but the fact that this one is, while the previous one wasn't, it kind of feels like this second entry is trying to be a new genre or something, and it could potentially feel a bit off. Not that while watching the movie, these musical scenes felt off. It didn't. It was surprisingly believable, and I could get into it. But again, like, it is a little weird that this one all of a sudden decides to be a musical, unlike the first one. And again, it does kind of drag the film a bit. So I would say that ultimately, even though these songs were not bad at all, they were all right for what they were. Maybe it would have been better if maybe they just weren't in the movie. That's sadly my opinion with the songs. Another small issue that I had with the film was that some of the character choices I thought could have used a little more build-up. Lee being this person who's just really obsessed with Arthur, and I will say I do really like their dynamic, just these two crazy people just finding a lot of connection with each other because of how crazy they are. It was a really interesting and fun dynamic because of that. But still, personally, regarding just how obsessed Lee is with Arthur in this movie, and just her saying just how much she admires him and loves him and stuff, pretty much I would say almost like a stalker level or something. The film does give a reason to why she likes him a lot. She simply finds herself a lot in him, but personally I don't think it was quite enough to justify just how hard she's into him. I think it could have had a little more build up to really emphasize just why it is she's so obsessed with him. Again, she does have a reason, but I think it could have been a little stronger. And that's not the only part. I would also say that regarding that previous decision I said before about a choice that Arthur makes that affects him in the end, that choice itself, first of all, I was not expecting it at all. In fact, like for the majority of the movie was, I would say, slightly predictable, and I could say where it's going. But it was in this moment where I thought, holy crap, wait, it's not going that direction, it's actually going this direction. And that really surprised me, and I thought it was really interesting. But I will say that, yeah, again, I do think that was also a choice that could have had a little more build up. There is a reason why he makes this ultimate choice, but regarding how big this decision was, again, I think it could have had a little more build up to really justify it. Not too much, again, it wasn't completely unbelievable, but it could have had a little more. And okay, my final point that I'm gonna give regarding this film before I ultimately mention my overall thoughts on the movie, there is one more point I want to say, which is, and this is another problem that I do kind of have with the film, and that is, honestly, man, if you really think about it, there is no reason for these movies to be about the Joker. Because honestly, like, this Joker, this version of the Joker, is so different to what the original real Joker is, that honestly, not just this movie, but honestly now thinking about it, probably even the first movie should have honestly instead just create a completely original character in general. Some of you could say, well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with giving a different interpretation of a classic character. I mean, that happens all the time in fiction, actually. But the thing is, if you're going to give a different interpretation of this character that is very well known, there should still be something about this new interpretation that is still similar to the original one that will allow it to justify to why this new interpretation of this character even should exist. Because if it is so different and so far away from the original version, honestly, why not just make a completely original character in general? And that is kind of what this movie shows me, because overall, this story was very engaging. And again, with those courtroom scenes and all of the thematic depth about it, Joaquin's interpretation of it, and all of that stuff is great, but they are so different to what the real Joker is that I really do have to ask myself, why even have these movies be Joker? Heck, why have Harley Quinn be Harley Quinn? She's especially very different to what the original Harley Quinn is. This interpretation is so far off from what the original is that really there just was no reason for it to be this original character. And I will admit that that is another aspect about the movie that I do think a lot of people are having problems with. They are so far off from what the original Joker is that it's kind of frustrating. And it's not that frustrating to me, but I do understand why it would be very frustrating to a lot of fans. It's just way too different. And originally I was thinking, again, just judge it by what it is, not for what you want for it to be. And again, there's nothing wrong with giving a different interpretation, but like I said, if you make it too far off and too different, you should just make a completely original character and setting in general. And so yeah, that I do understand why a lot of people would have a problem with. It's just too different, man. Okay, and so after all of those thoughts, what do I think about this film as a whole? Honestly, guys, I still think this is a really good movie. Yes, I know that I'm right now, at least, in the minority here. I know a lot of people are disliking it. Again, all of my friends didn't really like it. I'm definitely in the minority right now for saying this, but I'm sorry, man. I really enjoyed this film when I saw it. Is it amazing? No, not at all. Is it spectacular? No, it is not. It is a very flawed movie, okay? I have already mentioned a lot of the big flaws that I do think the film has, but I do think that the good aspects about it do outweigh the bad. Again, this new story, this different story that it took with these courtroom scenes, with the thematic depth that it had, all had me very engaged with the film. All of my friends who said that it was boring, I did not find it boring at all, man. In fact, if anything, I just thought the film got better. During the first scenes in Arkham Asylum, it was good for what it is, but not much. Then we got to the courtroom scenes, and like I already said, those were the parts that I liked the most. And then it got to the ending, which I really liked the ending and the stuff that happened prior to the ending. To me, it just kind of got better as it went on. I really enjoyed this movie, man. I thought it was really good. Yes, the musical scenes probably dragged on the film and weren't that amazing. Maybe they should have been taken off. It didn't need to be a musical. It didn't have to be a Joker movie in general. This is too far off from the original Joker to really... It should have just been its own original property. And yeah, again, a few of the character decisions and character aspects could have had a little more build up, but all of those flaws aside, it does not change the fact that I really enjoyed this film, and I found it very thought-provoking and captivating. I really enjoyed seeing the development of Arthur in this movie, seeing his own dilemmas regarding should he continue being Arthur Fleck or should he just give in into his Joker persona. And again, seeing all of these people react to him differently and try to influence him in their own ways, in the ways that they see fit most. All of this stuff was really captivating, man. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie. Are the critics wrong? In my opinion, at least right now, yes. Yes, I think the critics are wrong. But of course, that is just my opinion, okay? Movies are subjective. I am not in any way saying that this movie is objectively good and everybody else is just stupid. Obviously not, okay? It is just my opinion. If you watch this movie and you don't like it, that's cool, man. That's totally fine. You don't have to like it. You don't have to think it's good. If you think it's bad, there's nothing wrong with thinking that it's bad. It is just my opinion. I think that this movie is better than people are making it out to be, but that is just my opinion. I'm going to give Joker Folie a Deux a 7.5 out of 10. But let me know what your thoughts are. Did you think it was good? Did you think it was not good, like most people are saying? Do you agree with my opinions? Do you have objections to my opinions? I'm really interested to know what you guys think about it, because when a film is as polarizing as this one so far, it kind of makes it all the more exciting to know your opinions, because I know that the opinions are gonna vary, and I'm really interested to know what your thoughts are. If you haven't seen it yet, are you still excited to see it, even though most people are not really getting into it? Let me know what you guys think, and thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned if you would like to see more film reviews. Peace out, fellow moviegoers.